Live NFL trivia every Tuesday night on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come show off your football knowledge and have a chance to win cash prizes. Check the link in the description to find out more. And now, on with our feature presentation. The 1977 Atlanta Falcons had one of the greatest defenses of all time. They allowed an average of 9.2 points per game. The 129 points allowed was a record in the 14-game schedule format for the fewest points allowed by one team. In an unbelievable 50% of the games that the Falcons played that year, they allowed 7 points or less. They had multiple games where they held their opponent to under 100 total yards. It was a defense filled with great players like quarterback Roland Lawrence, who was named the first team All-Pro that season and was arguably the best defender in the league, and Claude Humphrey, a Pro Bowler who would eventually become a Hall of Famer. You could not move the ball on the 77 Falcons. They were legit in every sense of the word. The only problem? They went 7-7 and didn't make the postseason. And that's because despite having one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, their offense was pure garbage. The offense was 25th out of 28 teams in points scored, averaging less than 13 points per game. Their quarterbacks threw 8 touchdowns all season. They finished with the second fewest rushing yards in football while averaging an abysmal 3.2 yards per carry. They only scored more than 17 points twice all season, with both of those games coming against the New Orleans Saints, who I'm not even sure were a real football team back then. Alfred Jenkins was literally the only wide receiver on their team to score more than 1 touchdown. Requiring people to stay awake during Falcons games in 1977, with how low scoring and ugly they were, was seen as a form of torture. And if there's any one play that epitomizes just how awful the Falcons were on offense, this is the one right here.
Let's see, the Bills dig in, fourth down and inches. Biggest play of the game.
Hang on, let's back up just a bit before I show the play that changed the Falcons season and may have ruined what had the potential to be a really special year. October 16, 1977. We're in upstate New York for this matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Atlanta Falcons. The Bills are absolutely terrible. They entered this game at 0-4 through 4 weeks, already 4 games back of a playoff spot, and boasting the worst offense in the conference, having scored just 39 points so far. As for Atlanta, they've never made the postseason before, but this is shaping up to be their best chance. They sit at 3-1, one game atop the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC West, having allowed 19 points all season. Think about how absurd that is to have a 4-game stretch where you allow less than 5 points per game. If the Falcons win this one, they can set themselves up in a really good spot to make franchise history. This was the first time that the Falcons ever traveled to Buffalo, and it took them a while to find their footing offensively. Scratch that, I don't think they ever found their footing offensively all day. First drive and they go 3 and out. Second drive and they go 3 and out. Not a good start at all, however they finally get something going on the third drive, as this run by Monroe Ely gets them into possible field goal range. This was the best day of Ely's career from a production standpoint, and this may have been his best ever run. That's the good news. The bad news, Scott Hunter gets picked off a few plays later. No points for the Falcons. Fourth drive and once again they get into Buffalo territory, but come up empty-handed after Nick Mickemeyer misses a 43-yard field goal. Which way he missed it or how he missed it, I can't tell you, since whoever was directing this game for CBS was clearly drunk. But either way, the Falcons still have a big fat goose egg next to their name. Drive number 5, and nothing doing. They have to punt it away. Drive number 6, pinned at their own 1-yard line, and nothing doing. They go 3 and out. Buffalo is finally able to get some points on the board thanks to the good field position following the punt, as Neil O'Donoghue hits a 30-yard field goal to give Buffalo a 3-0 lead in the second quarter. Let's see how Atlanta can respond now that they're trailing and actually have to do something on offense. Oh god. Oh god, this is ugly. Drive number 7 is a 3 and out. Drive number 8 is also a 3 and out. If you're playing a drinking game where you take a shot every time the Falcons go 3 and out, you would be dead by this point, and we've just hit halftime. Let's see if the second half can be any different, but I'm not banking on it. Drive number 9, and while it's not a 3 and out, the Falcons can't cross midfield and are once again forced to punt. Drive number 10, and maybe they've got something here. They're just outside the red zone. Let's see what they draw up. First down, and no, that's not going to work. Second down, no, that's not going to work. They tried that play in the first half, so you knew Buffalo was waiting for it. Third down, and goodness gracious, absolutely not. Forced to punt yet again. Drive number 11, and this is a fantastic throw by Scott Hunter to absolutely no one. Nothing doing on the drive. By this point, the Falcons have no points and have not entered the red zone at all. It looks hopeless. Their offense is that anemic. They can't do anything right. At least the defense, which has only allowed 3 points, is somehow keeping Atlanta in this game. And they were about to be rewarded for all their hard work, because Atlanta was about to get a lifeline. After forcing a stop with 5 minutes left, Atlanta's special teams unit blocks the punt. For the first time all day, the Falcons are in the red zone. They're at the 12-yard line. This is Atlanta's best chance to get anything going. First down, and it's a gain of 3. Second down, and it's another gain of 3. 3rd down, and the Falcons need 4 yards to get a first down and keep the drive alive. Scott Hunter drops back to pass and finds Monroe Ely. It's awfully close to a first down. You be the judge as to whether or not he got it. However, the refs mark him a yard short. That seems like a really bad spot to be that far off, but regardless, it's 4th down. Head coach Leeman Bennett has a big decision to make. Do you kick the field goal and potentially tie the game? Or do you go for the first down and try to win it right here? Well, Bennett decides to go for it. And what happens next is a decision that Bennett himself after the game called a really poor one. Roll the tape.
Let's see, the Bills dig in, 4th down and inches. Biggest play of the game. Scott Hunter goes down. I don't think he got there. He didn't get there. Scott Hunter calls a naked reverse. He calls his own number and runs with the ball and doesn't get there, and Buffalo takes it over with 3:36 to play.
This decision to go for it was absolutely panned by just about everyone. Instead of kicking the field goal to tie it, or instead of just going up the middle, they called this play, and it backfired. The Bills won the game 3-0, and afterwards, all the talk was about Bennett's decision. Bills head coach Jim Ringo said that he was shocked by the decision, and reporters blasted Bennett for the play. But perhaps the harshest critic was none other than Leeman Bennett himself, who said, "I got away from some of my basic philosophies when we had a chance to tie it," and he blamed the loss on his awful call. Odds are, you've never seen this play before. The game was not nationally televised. It was blacked out in Buffalo because only 30,000 people showed up. So unless you were watching this game down in the South nearly 45 years ago, you probably had no idea what this play was when you clicked on the video. This play has long been forgotten in NFL history. But I find it amazing that nobody defended Bennett for this call. When you have a coach so upset at his call that he's kicking himself for ever calling it, you expect the play call to be atrocious. You expect it to be laughably bad. And nobody's really defended Bennett for this call. But nearly 45 years later, I'm willing to give it a shot. Because as bad as this decision may have looked, this call might not be as bad as you think. Leeman Bennett deserves a chance to be defended for this play. And I'm going to do so right here. Welcome to In Defense Of. Let's dive right in. Before I even talk about the play call itself, let's get one thing out of the way. Even if this looked like a chip shot field goal as it's a 22-yard kick, there is still no guarantee whatsoever that the Falcons walk away with 3 points on the drive if they don't go for it and decide to pick that option. Falcons kicker Nick Mickemeyer was terrible. The Falcons had played 5 games on the season, and Mickemeyer somehow found a way to miss a field goal in literally every single one of them. And some of these kicks weren't even in the same zip code as to where the goalposts were. At the time of this decision, Mickemeyer was 4 for 12 on field goals in 1977. He was 26 out of 28 kickers in 1976, hitting less than 48% of his field goals and missing 2 kicks from inside 30 yards. And he wasn't a qualified kicker in 1975 as he only had 10 attempts, but if he was, he would have ranked dead last in the league, hitting 40% of his field goals. Every kick was an adventure with him. It's no surprise that he would only last 2 more games with the team after this. If the Falcons opted to kick the field goal, there was no guarantee that the kick goes in. However, let's just assume for the sake of argument that the Falcons had Justin Tucker or Adam Vinatieri on their team, and let's assume that this is a guaranteed 3 points. Even if that was the case, I still have no problem with this decision. First, let's consider how awful the Falcons' offense was on this day. They had 0 points. The Falcons finished the game averaging 2.8 yards per play. They were averaging less than 3 yards per carry. They had 1 play that went longer than 20 yards. Their quarterback, Scott Hunter, went 9 for 29 with no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 12.9.
Say the line, Bart!
Which is worse than if you did nothing but spike the ball into the ground on every single play.
Yay!
Atlanta was not moving the ball. On their previous 11 drives, they did not get into the red zone once. The only reason they were in the red zone on this drive was because of a blocked punt. Here they were presented with a golden opportunity. They were not going to break down Buffalo's defense, but here they were, given a lifeline and unbelievable field position. Suppose they kick the field goal and get the 3 points. Was there anything that Atlanta's offense showed all day that would lead you to believe that if they got the ball back or got possessions in overtime, that they'd be able to score again? Anything at all? They had a kicker who couldn't kick, and an offense that got stalled every single time. My guess is that if the Falcons kick the field goal and get it, the game ends in a tie, unless Buffalo gives them an absolute gift with starting field position somewhere down the line. The risk-reward factor is something that I take a look at a lot when breaking down decisions that coaches make, good and bad. And I'd argue that here, the factor weighed in favor of going for it, just like Leeman Bennett did. If you kick the field goal, the reward is that you're no longer trailing. The risk is that you probably won't win the game based on the 60-minute sample size of how anemic your offense was throughout the entire game. And there's a risk with how bad your kicker is that you don't even make the field goal. On the flip side, well, the obvious risk of going for it is that if you don't get it, barring something crazy, that's the ballgame. You lose, you hand Buffalo its first win of the season, and you no longer have sole possession of first place in the NFC West. The reward if you get it, however, is the greatest reward that a team can receive. If you get the first down, you're likely going to win the game. You've got an unbelievable defense. We had played nearly 300 minutes of football at this point in the season, and in that time, the Falcons had allowed 22 points, which is 6 points in the last 3 games. Buffalo in 5 games had scored 42 points. There's a reason they had lost 14 straight games entering this one. Their offense was atrocious and also did nothing on this day. The only 3 points that they got were off of good field position following a punt. If you get the first down, and then punch it into the end zone needing to go 3 yards in 4 tries, I can assure you, Buffalo is not driving the length of field to retake the lead. You win the game, and I will never, ever fault a coach for trying to play for the win. I'd be going against every principle that the legendary man himself, Vince Lombardi, had if I did that. What I like in this situation too is imagine if I was playing 1v1 against an NBA player. Now I want to emphasize this, I'm not saying I would score on an NBA player. There is not a chance in the world of this happening. I suck at basketball. However, if you had a gun to your head, and you absolutely had to place a bet on me winning, would you rather bet on me winning a game to 1 point, or winning a game to 21 points? Obviously, you pick the game to just 1 point. When you have a smaller sample size, randomness can play a huge part in impacting the result. Maybe I just chuck up a shot at half court and it somehow goes in. But as you play longer, the better player will have a better chance of winning. I might be able to get lucky once, but I'm not going to get lucky 21 times. It's the same reason why you see lower college teams go for 2 late in the game instead of trying to tie it up. They like their odds better on 1 play to get 2 yards versus a series of plays where they'll have to potentially go the length of the field. The same thing applies here. I trust the Falcons offense, as bad as it is, to get 1 yard on 1 play and move the ball maybe 4 yards versus future drives where they would have to go 80 yards. This was the best opportunity that they had all game. And heck, it might have been the only opportunity they would have had the entire game to do something. When you put it like that, I have no problem whatsoever with the decision itself to go for it, to keep the drive alive, and possibly end the game right there. Now that raises one final part of the equation though. We have to talk about the call itself. We're having an entirely different discussion if they call a triple wide receiver reverse play here, or something ridiculously stupid. So when I think of the call here, the call itself was perfectly fine. Yes, you could have gone up the middle, but the Bills were expecting it. They were stacking the box. Calling this rollout with Scott Hunter should have worked. The only problem, this is some of the worst blocking I've ever seen. Fullback Woody Thompson had some atrocious get-off speed, and is still in his stance well after the ball is snapped. And yet, despite that, even though it's going to his side of the field, this play still should have worked even if you take Thompson out of the equation. You only had 2 Bills defenders in the play, and you had 2 Falcons blockers. If Dave Scott actually picks up a guy, this is a touchdown. I cannot blame a coach for a bad play call when the call would have worked if the offensive line just did their jobs and blocked somebody. This was Leeman Bennett's first season as the Falcons head coach, and things would get better from this moment. Even though they didn't make the postseason in 1977, they did make the postseason 3 times in the next 5 years. They won their first playoff game in franchise history during the 1978 season, and they won their first division title in 1980. Based on everything that Bennett said, you would think that this moment in the 1977 season was the worst thing he ever did as a head coach. But I'm more than willing to give him a pass for this play, even if he himself had second thoughts about the situation. Maybe Bennett should have tried to kick the field goal, or just run up the middle if he was going to go for it. But when you consider the fact that the Falcons' kicking game was atrocious and far from a guarantee, the fact that the Falcons' offense had been stalling all day and had been given a golden opportunity here that they could not pass up, the fact that the Falcons likely win the game if this play works, and the fact that the call itself would have worked incredibly well if the linemen just did their jobs and blocked, this is one decision you can definitely make a defense for. Get your official Jaguar Gator 9 merchandise by going to jg9shop.com, and be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Monday and Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL Trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JaguarGator9, and subscribe to 60 Second NFL History on YouTube. To see highlight videos of players throughout the history of the NFL, subscribe to JG9 Highlights. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.